in effect.
Determinism. Orgasm cake. You're gonna make a decision that we want to make, but then you make it.
Choices.
But is that the choice that you were supposed to make?
The machines wanted you to make that choice.
Maybe if I talk along this, then you will make the choice.
Go through that door.
But that choice is really the choice that we want you to make.
Go through that door.
If you don't make the choice, then really I'm rolling the dice on whether you will make the choice. Is there a probability that
the die were already cast when they were cast?
It was already cast.
What they'd land on. But was it? So nothing matters.
No, yeah.
So we're told at the beginning of Breaking Bad that Walter White has no choice and he's always going to do what he always does. Yes. And there's less tension.
Yeah.
It's fucking writing 101! We want our characters to make decisions. So we open with a sequence depicting Trinity dying.
Well, no, first I have a giant explosion.
Yeah, she drives a motorbike down and she does a flip and then the motorbike hits like a security office and then it explodes because the security office is made of gasoline.
And then the building explodes.
And she fights guards.
The security office is made out of special effects fucking explosives.
Cutting clip here. And yeah, she fights a bunch of agents. She jumps out a window. She falls. They shoot her. She smashes into a car. This is the entire crux of Neo's motivation. He has to save Trinity, who he loves.
And they sprinkle that throughout the thing. He's prophesizing that or whatever.
Yeah. He either is going to save her or he's not going to save her. He's going to make the choice to save her.
We don't know that till the very end.
Yeah.
We don't know that till the very end. Spoilers.
Then we cut to Zion, and I actually like all this. Like,
No. Well, so we set up the premise of the movie.
What's the premise of the movie?
What's the alleged premise of the movie? Well, no, they do the meeting with all the captains talking about, and so they're talking about an incident which is actually shown in the Animatrix, the final flight of the Osiris. Yeah, where they discover that the machines are drilling down, and then we introduce, we tease at Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Right, and then we show. It's interesting, right? I'll just talk about this because this is like an example of larger problems with the movie. So the agents come in, all the captains leave, and Neo's going to fight the agents.
Correct.
Right? And so he starts kung-fuing them, and then one of them throws a punch and he just catches it and he's like, ooh, upgrades.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's totally fine, except for the fact that is essentially setting up stakes. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. With Neo and his abilities.
Yeah.
And his ability to fight agents, right? And then that's never referenced ever again, right? And never comes into it ever again, and is never reincorporated or anything, right?
Upgrades. At the end of the first fucking movie, we get the most epic fucking power fucking crawls of all time. He goes from good Kung Fu Man to immortal Superman. And after that, there are like limited things you can do with the narrative. With someone who's invincible. They can stop death, they can't get killed. There's no problem with them. There's no situation they're ever going to be in danger, therefore there's no tension or suspense.
It's interesting referencing this sequence that I'm talking about, that particular line. So yeah, power creep, right, with your characters.
Yes. Needs to be gradual.
Well. So the ending, in retrospect, after having already seen the movies, you'd look at the ending of the first one and be like, okay, well they fucked it up, right? Power creep, but right, the watching the ending and the establishing of Neo's newfound abilities was vague enough in the end of the first one that you could do something where you have an initial fight with some agents, and sure, now he can take a bunch of agents at once. right? But, you know, again, have that line where maybe one of them actually lands a hit on him or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, upgrade, they've upgraded them, so now he's not totally invulnerable or whatever.
The agents are also become more powerful.
Yeah, and that would have been...
they're an obstacle.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. That's how you sort of... Because they didn't... in respect to that, had they have actually used that, they would have gotten away with it.
Yeah,
They would have gotten away with it, because that's the first thing I thought, oh yeah, we didn't really get a layout of what he can and can't do. He could stop bullets, and he could fight old agents. In the first one, right? But that was about it.
Yeah, so then there's a whole bunch of stuff after that. Like, every fight scene is in, you're like, wait, can't he just, like if he can fly, he can fuck everybody up. And then there's the car chase sequence where they need to, like, lock him away into bed.
Yeah. We need to get rid of him so he can't.
Otherwise, the car chase is not going to transpire.
Well, it's like the conversation, the confrontation with the Merovingian, the initial one, right, where they need to get information. It's like, had this have been, say, a Marvel movie or a DC movie, and we're talking, say, Superman, he would have rushed in and just grabbed him and pushed him up against the wall.
What's his name from The Boys? The Superman guy?
Captain fucking Nightmare.
He's fucking psychopathic.
He would have rushed him and been like, I will vaporize everybody here if you don't tell me what I want to hear. And the only reason that didn't happen is because Trinity and fucking Morpheus were there.
Yeah. And Neo, even though he can just breeze his way through every situation, chooses not to.
Yeah, well, because the script says so.
Yeah.
Because we want to have a long and drawn-out pseudo-metaphysical, philosophical discussion about nothing.
Yes. Yeah. Determinism or free will.
Allegedly.
Causality. Action, reaction. Cause and effect.
Everything begins with choice.
No. Wrong. Choice is an illusion created between those with power.
I had a bunch of notes about Neo too. I think he should be a flawed character. It'd be interesting and like engaging and relatable if he's a flawed character. You think about like your Daniel Plainview from There Will Be Blood, or Don Draper from Mad Men, or Tony Soprano. Like, they're interesting, engaging characters because of their flaws. There's that scene where Neo walks out and he has all the followers who are like, no, like he needs to like push one down,
away from
spit
me.
on one, like just be like a piece of shit, like have a substance addiction problem, hit Trinity, like there needs to be something. He's just...
You could have.
He's plain.
Yeah, well, so it's like you could have...
Depth.
One that's actually been explored, right, is what would happen if a person suddenly becomes Superman.
Yeah.
Well, there's a possibility that they turn into a narcissistic psychopath. Right?
The Anakin thing, right?
Yeah, and we have explored that in, like, The Boys. Right? That's a great example of that. And it's like, that would have been... Either he like, sort of basically overrides decisions that other people make, or he does all this, but there's no exploration of character.
Yeah, there's very little character depth. He's just like a placeholder. He's doing something. He cares, maybe.
People make that argument.
He loves Trinity.
We'll get to Trinity and him and his relation. Right. People make that argument about Keanu Reeves, and I get it, right? He's kind of like a blank slate-ish sort of thing.
I don't think it was his fault.
No, well, but the first movie, maybe I could have a discussion with you about it and talk about it or whatever, right? In this, specifically, because of the way it's written, he is exactly like that.
Yeah.
He fulfills exactly any qualities that people dislike about the actor, specifically are exacerbated by the script and direction of the character.
You have to like think about the direction that the Wachowskis gave as well. Like, I don't know how much they were like inputting into his performance. Or like, there's a bunch of scenes where like he talks with an old man in like a big engineering room. Also, that would be loud as fuck. You see all these big machines, like they're having this like quiet philosophical discussion about.
You ever been to a construction site?
Yeah, like,
you gotta put like earmuffs and stuff in.
Cutting clip here.
See that machine? It has something to do with recycling our water supply. I have absolutely no idea how it works, but I do understand the reason for it to work.
then yeah, there's this discussion with the Oracle, and they're both just like flat, emotionless. Yeah.
Really.
You take like any dialogue sequence from like any good drama, and it's engaging because of the acting.
They're moving around. Well, so okay, so
They're dynamic. They're interesting.
what they generally do, right? And again, in shot sort of reverse shot, is they'll get an actor, and he will do the entirety of a conversation, right? The responses to the reverse shot and all that sort of stuff in one take, and then they'll cut it together, right? Now, normally you can, good direction, it's kind of seamless, right?
Yeah.
But this is not.
Yeah.
They're clearly stopping and then starting the response and then stopping and starting.
Sure. You think the Sopranos are like Tony and Carmela, and like they're in the kitchen and they're walking around and they're making coffees and they're opening cupboards, and like we see a close up of the coffee cup and we see the kettle being turned on. Like we see things happening. It's just reverse shot of Neo and the Oracle sitting on the thing, and they're both just like emotionally null and void.
Well, it's interesting because it's almost the same. I feel like it's almost the same sort of problem that the Star Wars prequels had, where they're on a green screen set, right? So the set, the thing where they're in the engine room or whatever, the big mechanical room.
Yeah.
How big is that set?
Yeah.
It's like this big.
They have nothing to interact with.
Yeah, so they're walking and then they go and stop and they stand and then you have the shot reverse shot. It's boring.
Yeah. But directly after Neo and the Oracle talk about free will versus determinism for 40 minutes, Hugo Weaving comes in, and I'm like instantly engaged.
Hugo Weaving!
He's just like saying the dialogue, but the way he's fucking pronouncing it, and like his cadence and the timing and everything, I'm like, oh, I'm engaged.
Here we go.
Look at this performance.
But then it turns into fucking schlock nightmare again.
Well, yeah, he starts fighting Agent Smith, right? And it's cool up until a point, and then he keeps on going.
For the first like 2 minutes.
And then it turns into a CGI nightmare.
Well, it's again the escalation of the sequence, right? And I specifically mentioned to you that sequence where he's flipping around on the poles and he's got all the agents and stuff. That should have been, particularly since that's a reveal.
Yeah.
Narratively, that's a reveal of what's actually happening.
There's lots of Agent Smiths.
He's a virus.
He's off the grid. He's not an agent anymore. He's whatever.
That's a huge reveal, right? And that should have been almost at the end.
Yeah.
Right? That should have been our big, fight sequence and how we showcase, our, choreography and integration techniques and all that sort of stuff, and the reveal of Agent Smith. And really, because of the way that the movie's structured, the confrontation between the two characters that we like, which is Agent Smith and Neo, right, is kind of sidelined. But that should almost be the main, or at least the B plot of the movie.
For a movie with so many Hugo Weavings in it, there's not enough Hugo Weaving in it. He's supposed to be the main antagonist, but really he rocks up and then leaves and then rocks up.
That should have been the B plot.
Yeah.
Which it was. It kind of was.
He has nothing to do but fight Neo.
It kind of was.
Leave.
It was the B plot, right? So the way that you do it, the way in my mind you do it is you'd have him sprinkled throughout. Neo would continuously see more and more and more Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Right? And he would, try and interfere with whatever they're doing or just show up or whatever.
Yeah, he's trying to actively stop them.
Which they did, but you never got any, but it was only ever like fights. We had an introductory meeting between our two characters, Hugo Weaving and Neo, and then that was it.
Yeah.
But then, it's weird. It was not handled very well.
There's a problem with pacing and suspense. It has like high peak moments like the car chase where it's super tense and super interesting, and then it just completely drops off and doesn't carry you into the next scene, and then you're sitting there for fucking 40 minutes watching boring people talk about boring stuff shot in a boring manner. And it doesn't have an arc, it doesn't build to anything, it has peaks and then fucking massive valleys where you become uninvested, and then by the time you get to the action sequence, even though it's beautiful, like all the kung fu stuff with the wire work, it's amazing, but you're already out, you're already uninvested.
I've commented before about the expressway chase, right? I've commented before about how I acknowledge how beautifully the
when
technique.
you watch that by itself, it's amazing.
But I actually found myself sort of zoning out, even though I haven't seen this movie in bloody ages. I'm very familiar with it, but I haven't seen it in a long time. And I thought, you know, I'm a bit tired, I'm a bit out of it. Yeah. But I sort of found myself zoning out of it and going, I'm not appreciating the technical, you know, prowess that was done.
Well, the narrative is what makes you invested. I remember the end of Game of Thrones when like she's riding around on the dragon and she's destroying King's Landing and like it's amazing, but like you don't give a fuck. Like you're just fucking completely out of it.
All you can think about is what's wrong with it.
Yeah. Why is Daenerys doing this? Not, oh my god, this looks beautiful. Look at this fucking CGI. It's amazing. And yeah, the like car chase, they made that highway because they couldn't do it on a real highway. And
that's cool.
Yeah, there's just so many like practical stunts where they had cars with like the jack things under them and all like little ramps and they flip it and. But yeah, you're out. You're out at that point.
That's fine that they do that. But Michael Bay does that. Michael Bay executes some of the greatest practical, like,
but
sort
you
of...
don't care.
You don't care.
Yeah.
So what's the point? There is no point.
Yeah.
You know, you could have...
There are no decisions.
The Kung Fu choreography is really great, except for the fact that that's like 3/4 of the movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And by time, there's no stakes. The only time there's stakes is the one fight between agents and human beings, not Superman, which is in the expressway chase.
Yeah.
Right? With Morpheus and one of the agents on top of the truck. But that's by time we've gotten to that. And you know, I said to you again, that's actually in the proper place in the movie.
Yeah.
That's
just
in the middle.
End way quicker after that. After the car chase, it needs to be like 10 minutes and then credits.
There should have been very few Kung Fu scenes. Right, there should have been the major expressway chase.
Well, less is more, right? When you have 100 lightsaber battles, they stop meaning anything. When you have one lightsaber battle, it's like, it's built to this.
In the confrontation with the Merovingian sequence where they free the Keymaker and Neo holds off all his henchmen or whatever, it just goes on and on and on. There's no stakes.
Yeah.
No.
Neo can't die.
He can't die.
You could fuck them all up.
Yeah.
You could go and like destroy them all. But he chooses to Kung Fu fight them. And the wire work is incredible, but
it doesn't matter.
There's no emotional investment in anything happening.
And it's the same old story. It's the same old problem. They had too much money. They had too much free reign, right?
Yeah, that is a reoccurring thing. Because the first one is amazing, and they had a lowish budget and restrictions and stuff. And then when this is like, do anything you want.
They didn't have any direction. They themselves didn't
know where to go.
Didn't know what they were doing. That's how it comes across, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's plenty of interesting elements and there's plenty of interesting things.
If you just watch the car chase by itself, it's amazing.
Oh, it's like, oh man, this is so cool, blah, 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 blah,
But by the time you've been sitting and watching an hour and 40 minutes of The Matrix Reloaded...
boring.
You just want it to end.
Boring. You know, it's way worse than... again, after watching the first one...
Which has great pacing and
it's an excellent movie.
Suspense. First half of the first movie just keeps on escalating in like insane body horror and like reveal after shocking reveal, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
The power struggle between sort of the agents and the humans and how it, you know, and all that sort of stuff, right? I was actually excited to go back and watch Reloaded. Right? Thinking to myself, I can't possibly be as bad as I used to say it was.
Yeah.
And not true, you know, which is a fucking shame. It's a damn shame because, again, there's plenty of really interesting stuff in it. You know, it's all sci-fi, like machine horror sort of shit. It's cool.
It has, very cool elements. It's just the execution of the overall, like, narrative arc and its pacing. It just fucking drags and drags, unfortunately. And they're talking in fucking circles about, is there meaning or is there not meaning? Well, I don't know if there's meaning, and if there is meaning, does it mean anything? And do we have choices? And I don't know if we have choices. And if we do have choices, do we have the ability to choose them? Well, I don't know. We may or may not have the ability to choose the choices that we may or not choose. And it's just like, I get it! I get what determinism is. I get what free will is. I'll watch a Sam Harris podcast if I want to get it. It's, I don't know. I think their ego got away with them too, because people talked about like how smart and philosophical they were in the first one. So in this one they ramp it up, but it's just bullshit.
Yeah. Well, so again, you have the Oracle who says one thing, and then you have the Merovingian that says another, and on the face of it, you know, they're kind of contradictory, but not really. They're just two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of phrasing the same issue.
Well, even with the old man, it's the same discussion.
It's the same. It's literally the same discussion.
We have the same discussion 3 or 4 times, and it never comes to any like conclusion.
And again, you know, when you get to the end,
just left open-ended.
When you get to the end with the architect,
yeah,
and he says, okay, here's how it goes, right? He states plainly what has happened and what they want to happen, the machines, what the machines want to happen.
Yes.
And then he goes on to talk about what will happen.
Yeah.
Right? And he does so in such a way as to present a choice, like to basically bait Neo into making the choice that they don't want to happen.
Yeah, there are 2 doors, and he's like, pick your option.
But then he doesn't do that. Right,
yeah.
But then he says, but here's the twist. Trinity will die if you do this. And it's like, okay, but if you just didn't say that, then it would happen exactly the way you wanted to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
There are 2 doors. The door to your right leads to the source and the salvation of Zion. The door to your left leads back to the Matrix, to her, and to the end of your species. As you adequately put, the problem is choice.
So we get the revelation that there's been like 8 incarnations of the Matrix. Yeah. Neo is part of the machine's grand plan.
Okay.
So he doesn't have a choice.
The system that they've built is so complex, right? To account for the human error factor of it, which can't be computed for whatever reason, because it's so complex, right?
Yeah.
They know that they've devised a scheme, right, to basically to get rid of the potential cascade failure. And a cascade failure is where it starts. It's like a fucking, snowy mountains where an avalanche, right?
Yeah.
Starts small, and if you don't address it, the whole system fails.
Yeah.
Right. So
Zion will be destroyed. All the humans will die in their pods. The machines won't be able to function. Everything is fucked.
Right. So they've devised a scheme, however convoluted, that and perfectly fine in isolation.
Yeah.
Right? This is, we figured out this is what we need to do. Right? But again, it's like for something, and unless you allege that it was like reverse psychology, him saying, oh, well, the choice that you are going to make is that you're going to fucking go and, let Zion be destroyed and let Trinity die.
Yeah.
Like some 4D chess crazy crap. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's like everybody saying, you have already made the decision you're gonna make, right? And then everybody else says, and the decision you're gonna make is the decision we know you're gonna make.
Yeah.
And they tell you what that decision is, and then he doesn't make that decision.
Yeah.
And the only reason he doesn't make that decision is because of the baiting to not make that decision by the people who want him to make a specific decision, right?
Free will exists.
I can already see
the reveal.
I can already see the emotions playing up in your body and blah blah blah. Your desire to save her.
Yeah.
But what about the entire human race? It's like, well, what about the fucking entire human race? They've only boned like once.
Yeah.
Right. We get the okay. Well, no, it doesn't matter anymore. Let's move on to the relationship between Neo, because that falls into it, right?
Yeah.
The way that the relationship between Neo and Trinity is presented to us is as if they're long separated lovers.
They're beating you over the head with the fact that they're so emphatically in love that they need to make out every chance they get.
Like, not just make out, like passionately, like 2 long lost lovers.
Yeah. They've just been on fucking the Nebuchadnezzar for 8 months in their bunk together, and then there's a scene where Link and that little kid who...
Oh yeah, the kid.
Yeah, who Neo should have hit, by the way. Yeah, he's a flawed fucking protagonist.
Actually, the sequence that comes from in the Animatrix is actually really cool.
Yeah, true.
And so it's about tangent.
Yeah.
It's about self-assertion, right? The ability of somebody in the Matrix to self-assert their rejection of the Matrix to be able to basically get themselves released from it.
Through like pure will.
Pure willpower. There are people who have the capacity, and his particular rejection of the Matrix allows him to, and that's why Neo says, I didn't save him. Which again, it's all really weird considering that they don't actually address it in the movie.
Yeah.
It's all just, but there's previous context, but that doesn't matter because nobody.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Link and the kid leave, and then Neo and Trinity like drop the things they're holding, and I'll cut in the scene here. It's like, have they not been in a relationship?
Well, that's what the implication is. Now, here's the argument, right? Here's what I thought.
They're trying to convey to the audience that they're in love.
No.
No.
So the in-universe reason is because maybe during the time that they're on the Nebuchadnezzar, they don't make it apparent that they're in a hot, passionate relationship. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe they sleep separately or something and they make it. But that is dispelled by the fact that they show signs of affection on the Nebuchadnezzar at various points. Right?
There's a whole bunch of like over-sexualized moments with like the dance sequence in the
unnecessary.
Like, just keeps on going like, oh, I can see their nipples.
Oh, yeah, they're all hot and sweaty.
Then, like, Neo and Trinity fucking. It's like, I don't know, just sex in movies is kind of like
blasé.
Yeah, like. It's not risque or interesting.
It used to be risque though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It's like Underworld, which is a fucking great schlocky movie. Better than this. They have where he's full body thrusting or whatever, and it's like, okay.
I guess, if the narrative builds to that point.
Yeah, well, they didn't build to that point, not in this.
Well, there's no stakes, because, like, Neo and Trinity are already together.
We already knew that.
Like, if it's a moment where, like, they're cheating, or, like, there's implications to the plot or the narrative.
There's no bubbling sexual tension.
No, they're together. They're already together.
They're pretending the way that they're pretending that there is, and it's a trick, because we know that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It should be like a Tony and Camilla relationship where they fucking despise each other and fucking
what you do,
throw shit at each other and argue relentlessly.
That's relationship. In that spec house, I made the down payment. I bought the materials. I leaned on that building inspector and you had your thumb up your ass. So stop talking about your money.
Let go of me, you piece of shit!
Fact is, you're a shitty businesswoman who built a piece of shit house that's gonna cave in and kill that fucking unborn baby any day. And now you can't sleep.
Fuck yourself!
When I'm gone, you can live in a fucking dumpster for all I care.
Domestic violence.
Yes.
What you'd show is you would have scenes of them operating on the Nebuchadnezzar where they're either so busy or they want to maintain professionalism.
Yeah.
That they don't have time and they don't make out and they don't sleep together and they don't do any of that stuff.
They have separate bunks.
They have separate bunks or whatever, and then they finally are on shore leave or whatever. Because it's like a ship, right?
Yeah,
it's like a sailing ship.
Then they're back home.
And they're on shore leave and they're like, oh, finally.
Now we can make out.
But they don't do anything.
Yeah.
So, that implication, unless that's actually like explicitly told to us or shown to us.
Seemed odd.
It seems odd.
Very, odd. There's a moment, right, where they could have shied away from all the tight leather and the sunglasses and the trench coats. It's when you first get introduced to the crew of the other ship that, she's like Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in 1999, when the first one comes out, all the leather of the trench coats and sunglasses, it kind of still works.
It was a novelty.
Yeah, it's edgy and cringy, but it's fine. It's playing into the whole style.
I think we addressed that.
Yeah.
In the last review.
It's a ridiculous, over-the-top, exaggerated film with the action sequences and everything. So yeah, you gave it a free pass. But for some reason in like 2003, when you see the other crew and they're all wearing the same
everybody
bondage, leather, BDSM, edgy sunglasses,
really weird
stuff, is like just that 4-year gap is like, well, wait, why? But why do they all wear that in their Matrix? Like, do you have to wear that?
Do you have to wear
There's
that?
an Asian guy who's not wearing that. Why are they wearing that?
They should.
It's a style, right?
You could have toned it down. And
Yeah, I think they should have.
Again, right? Even
if it's still like Neo and Trinity and Morpheus do that, but everyone else doesn't have to.
They're the weird crew.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're really fucking
BDSM. They got like ball gags and stuff.
It's fine. Again, because this is the difference, right? I watch Underworld, and it's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
I watch Blade 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. But in retrospect, you watch it and go, it's a fun movie. It's fun and it's got edgy, silly costumes, but the costumes look cool to teenage me or whatever, right? In 19 diggity do or whatever. Right? That's fine.
Yeah.
But this wasn't a fun movie. That's the difference.
That's the difference.
If it was a fun movie, if it was a fun sort of silly-ish romp, right?
It's a stylistic choice.
We would have sat down and watched it and go,
It ties into the techno and the Rage Against the Machine and the fun action sequences.
But they weren't fun.
Then we get slow.
They weren't fun action
boring,
sequences.
Shot, reverse shot.
They were tired and fucking and very, very drawn out action sequences.
Do I have a choice? Maybe I have a choice.
The best way to know somebody is to fight them. What? Can you? No. Stop. No. Rewind. No. Stop what you're doing. Why is that the case? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah.
You're wasting. Otherwise, you are wasting my time.
Well, they go to him to get to the, what is it, the guy at the end?
The Oracle.
The Oracle. Yeah. And he waffles on and on and on about causality and every
the
action leads
Merovingian,
to the next action, and he gives her a cake that
The
gives
orgasm
her an orgasm.
cake, yeah.
And Neo and Trinity and Morpheus are standing there for like 10 minutes.
I would argue.
And it's just like, well, yeah, but what give us the thing.
I would argue that the orgasm cake scene is the most important scene in the movie. And then the next scene is the wife of him.
Yeah.
Having like the kissing scene, and they go on and on and on. And she says, the deal is, Neo kisses her the way that he would kiss Trinity to show her passion that she hasn't experienced. But the trade, the opposite side of the deal, is if she doesn't fulfill her side, then Trinity's allowed to kill her. Which the implication is that it's not Trinity's decision whether or not she kills the wife. It's the wife's decision whether It sounds like a fucking raw deal. That's what it sounds like.
I think the Wachowskis wanted a scene when Neo kisses a woman and Trinity is made to watch.
Yeah.
The stakes are meaningless.
Just describing it like that.
That there's a lot of like overt sexual perversion, which is weird because they're siblings and they sat down and wrote this script together.
There wasn't any of that in the first one, really.
No, there was no sexual content. Even Neo and Trinity, they're like,
I'm trying to think.
So absent-mindedly, they were prophesized to be involved.
They had the one-sided bubbling sexual tension.
They kissed at the end.
Yeah, but you knew that Trinity was giving him the googly eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
But there were no like 40-minute naked cave dancing techno sequences. It just keeps on going and going. Every scene just keeps on going.
The most important thing is that we're still here. Now everybody fuck.
Yeah, I think pacing, editing, it needs like 20 minutes cut out of it. And you could.
Yeah.
This could be like a fucking 40 minute
I believe that there
episode.
are fan edits, but I've had a pretty unsuccessful bout with fan edits.
Yeah,
they always run up against the thing where you look at it and you go, I'm sure that you could cut this down and remove a bunch of stuff. But the problem with that is that the way that the scenes are tightened in editing makes it hard. You end up with sequences that cut too quickly.
Yeah, and there's stuff that doesn't make sense because the setup had to go because it was boring or nonsensical or whatever.
So it's once it's edited. You can't unedit it, which is the issue, right?
Yeah, there was a thing too where they wrote and directed the 2 sequels simultaneously.
Oh yeah.
So it was like one big movie, which I think you can definitely tell that there's no clear like 3-act structure. There's no like narrative thrust. It kind of feels like a couple episodes of a television series where it just like
the finales of seasons of television series, but just continuously.
Yeah, even like the end, like after they find the guy that says there's no choices and Neo makes the choice to save Trinity, like it just keeps on going and there's just a bunch of scenes setting up, Agent Smith in the real world.
Well, that's what I said, is that it
doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like
the whole Agent Smith thing should have been a B plot. The B plot.
Yeah.
Right? But there's like 20,000 plots. There's fucking, the B plot is actually the slow divvying out of there are no choices and causality.
And we get to Zion, it's not like, oh my god, the imminent threat of destruction by the machine. It's like interpersonal character drama, which is tedious. There's a love triangle with Morpheus.
Yeah, that's right.
Some guy and some chick, and the guy is just like blatantly like.
The commander. What's his name? I actually wrote it down here. Commander Munch.
Commander Cuckold. That's Morpheus bang his wife and he watches.
Throw me off now. He says his main conflict with Morpheus is that he doesn't believe any of this crap. I don't fucking, blah, 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 I don't believe in prophecies and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, let's stop right here.
Yeah.
Right? So, the stuff that Neo does.
Yeah.
What is that? Please explain.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I'd say to him.
You can look at the code and you can see him flying.
Please explain.
Like Superman.
Well, I'll sit back.
Yeah.
Please explain your rationale for this, because if you acknowledge that is a thing that happens, then you have to acknowledge that some part of what Morpheus is saying is true, or that there is something happening that is outside your narrow understanding.
It's nothing to do with Neo. He's not being objective. He's angry because Morpheus used to have a relationship with his wife.
Which it comes across
so childish.
As a person who's supposed to be the commander, and I'm the high strategist, blah blah blah, I know what's best for the thing. No, not really. You just seem like an arrogant asshole. I wouldn't trust you.
Blatant biases on display for everybody.
Who elected you? Who put you in power? Can we? It's like they put the council put somebody in power that they're just going to overwrite all their decisions anyway.
Yeah, who just it goes along with his emotions.
It's funny because the council doesn't actually vote. Like they're like, if they're going to buy into what Morpheus is saying, there's no conflict. The only conflict within the leadership of Zion is the most convoluted, contrived version of conflict, hierarchical conflict in the narrative, which is, there's one guy who's a step above you, one of our main characters, and he's an asshole because he's an asshole, and the script says so.
I'm going to recommend to the council that you be removed from duty.
That is, of course, your prerogative, Commander.
If it were up to me, Captain, you wouldn't set foot on a ship for the rest of your life.
Then I am grateful that it is not up to you.
Yeah, it would have been nice to build upon Zion in like an adult, interesting political manner.
Maybe Morpheus has made some questionable decisions.
Yeah, I mean, he's a crazy person.
He's a crazy person. I get it from old mate's understanding.
But we're just not shown it.
We're not shown it.
We have to figure it out for ourselves.
As far as
in the first movie, they imply that Morpheus is
he's an outcast.
He's rolling. He's putting all these chips in fucking Neo, and he's rolling the dice. And it's questionable in the first movie. In the second movie, it's not questionable anymore.
No, well, we are shown, we are expecting that is how they act.
Yeah.
This is a reasonable thing for people to do, is to continuously buy into this, because this is our main story.
Yeah.
We're following this.
There's hordes of people that believe the prophecy and that are waiting
the
outside.
council, the main leadership's all in.
And this one guy's like, nah, you fucked my wife.
And he just
Neo's not the prophet.
He just seems like a douchebag.
Your ship's grounded. And you're like, but what?
But it's not grounded.
You're adults. She's had a previous relationship.
Where's the thing about a coup?
Yeah.
Where he leads a coup, where there is a whole faction of people who think that this is insane.
Yeah.
Right? You're insane. Yeah. Everything you are saying is insane.
They overthrow the high command of Zion just as the Sentinels come down.
And then
everything's in disarray just as the dam breaks. And it's called building up of tension.
It's called writing a story.
It's called a script. It's not called fucking Days of Your Life, fucking inter-character drama. It's called, a tense action movie.
Now, so as far as you saying it didn't have a 3-act structure and it didn't have, it was kind of all over the place, but whoa, taxi. Anyway, as far as it has its highs and lows are all out of shape. Right?
Yeah.
That's fine. It's you've always got to preface the application of the hero's journey or the 3-act structure.
Yeah.
Right, where there are plenty of movies which have just non-stop action, as an example, that don't have, a 3-act structure, that are great.
Yeah.
Crank. I specifically asked you at one point, I was like, what are great movies that we know?
Yeah.
That basically throw out the stock standard way to tell a story.
Mad Max Fury Road
Mad
is
Max Fury
a
Road.
2-hour car chase.
Which
they
is-
drive the truck out into the desert, they drive it back. There's no beginning, middle, end. It's a car chase.
It's a car chase.
But it has energy in the edit, keeps on going and cutting. Tom Hardy says like 14 words in the entire fucking thing.
Yeah, Crank 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of them. There's a bunch of movies that are like that, and that's like, yeah. So it's definitely not saying, oh well, you know, they should have stuck to a traditional structure, but they should stick to a traditional structure if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Which is what they didn't know. They didn't have a clear. It seems apparent that they didn't have a clear direction. They didn't have a clear, like, larger picture.
Yeah.
They didn't know. They didn't know where they wanted to go.
They made
didn't
a
know what
movie,
they wanted to
it
do.
exploded.
They filmed some stuff.
They wanted
you know?
sequels, and they were like, what if we see Keanu Reeves' bum? That'd be scandalous.
Yeah, it just becomes noise. That's all it does. It becomes noise. We've got all these characters, and the very rare instances where we have interpersonal drama, which again is between, say, Morpheus and the Commander.
Yeah.
Right. It's really contrived and it's really weird and it doesn't come across well. Any other time we deal with characters and dialogue, it's this weird, like, artificial, metaphysical, philosophical crap.
Yeah.
So there's no... And then, like, the Neo-Trinity relationship, which is weird and contrived too, right? Comes across...
We get barely any Morpheus. Morpheus does nothing.
We have the conversation with... The most real character interaction is Link and his wife.
Yeah, and I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know these people.
Yeah.
And
she's angry at Link for leaving. Link.
Okay, actually, that's a cliche. Right?
Her brother was Dozer, who died in the first one.
It was it was both the brothers, Dozer and the other
Young Dozer.
Young Dozer. It's actually a cliche.
Yeah.
And I've talked about. I don't know if I've talked about this cliche before. Right. So, and specifically, the cliche is specifically in detective and police movies and dramas. It's the wife who marries somebody who has a particular job, right, which comes with all sorts of, you know, negatives and all this sort of stuff, and then proceeds to spend the entire relationship, or the relationship that we see, complaining about the job that they already knew that they had, right? So she's with this guy who's, like, on a ship, right, and it's like, oh, well, you know, all the other people, you know, spend more time in shore leave. Okay,
We have the chosen one on our ship.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
What do you want from? Oh, well, you know, there's lots of risk. Yes. Is the implication that there's no risk on any of the other ships?
Machines are coming to kill us.
Otherwise, shut your gob. And you know,
cash the paycheck that I bring in.
Right, like this, it's tiresome.
Yeah.
Because it basically, all it does is give us a character who's nothing but an obstacle to the person that they're in the relationship with.
Yeah.
The only reason that they exist is to make that person's life hard. And it's annoying. It's really annoying. There's a great Netflix serial killer documentary that's like that. Goodness, I can't remember what it's called. It's where the FBI go and develop their profiling techniques. They go and interview all the serial killers. It's fucking great.
Yeah, sure.
Except for the secondary character, right, who has this wife. And, you know, it's a bit more complicated. But basically, he has this job where he goes away for, you know, days and days and days at a time to go and to go and train police at rural stations and stuff. And all she does is complain and complain and complain that you're never home. That's...
Leave.
You're home. You are home. Right? If you don't... leave.
It's tedious.
Yeah, it is fucking
it's like
tedious.
the Walter White and Skylar thing.
Another sort of... that's definitely more complicated, but that's a lot of...
Because he's doing, like, heinous, disgusting, despicable things.
But it's definitely...
But it's irritating.
It is irritating. I've seen a lot of people talk about how she's irritating in that role, and I just don't... I don't mind them having fights. I don't mind them having conflict, like relationship dynamics, right? But not all the time.
Every ship up there has been home 2, even 3 times more than the Nebuchadnezzar.
Cozy.
thought we were past this.
We'll get past this when you start operating another ship.
I can't do that.
Why?
You know why?
If Dozer knew how I felt, he wouldn't have asked you to do this.
And so in this very short instance,
the one scene we get with them is of her complaining.
It's boring.
Him saying, "Well, this is what I do."
Yeah. Well, she already knows it's that. She already knows that that's what he does. She already knows that. That is a thing. It's implied by the fact. Well, did he become a captain yesterday? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. The movie doesn't matter. It's all crap.
Cause and effect.
Determinism. Orgasm cake. You're gonna make a decision that we want to make. But then you make it.
Choices.
But is that the choice that you were supposed to make?
The machines wanted you to make that choice.
Maybe if I talk along this, then you will make the choice.
Go through that door.
But that choice is really the choice that we want you to make.
Gonna go through that door.
If you don't make the choice, then really I'm rolling the dice on whether you will make the choice. Is there a probability
that the die were already cast when they were cast?
It was already cast.
What they'd land on. But was it? So nothing matters.
No, yeah.
So we're told at the beginning of Breaking Bad that Walter White has no choice and he's always going to do what he always does.
Yes.
And there's less tension.
Yeah.
It's fucking writing 101! We want our characters to make decisions.
The fact that...
But he does at the end. Or does he?
The fact that...
He saves Trinity. He was always going to save
Trinity. Did he save
Trinity's dead. That would have been nice if Trinity hadn't died.
That would have been like a character development.
That would have been like a twist that I didn't
then
see
she does
coming.
die. But no, then she doesn't die. Because the fourth movie's coming.
We're not there yet, Steve. We're not fucking there yet.
It's
gosh.
It's basically, it's really, the sort of reveal of like there's been plenty of Matrixes before. It's kind of drip fed to us, but it's kind of not. It definitely doesn't come across the way it should have, which is this is the big reveal. It's so dragged that those tidbits of actual like meaningful information are so drowned.
By the time you get to that point in the movie, you're fucking out. I was wandering around the house, like brushing my teeth and getting stuff ready, and like I've tried to sit. I did sit there and write notes, but like your mind just wanders.
And
and you physically just wander. You just walk out of the room while they're talking.
Yeah,
it's not. There are moments where the narrative isn't engaging.
Okay, so this is how it goes. All right, so we've personally both watched the movie a shitload.
Yes.
Right, and the objective is to try and separate yourself from the negative connotations that you already had of it.
Yeah,
right?
Preconceived
biases. Everybody already knows exactly what we're complaining about.
Yeah,
it's exact nothing. That the issue is on an analytical reviewing.
Yeah,
nothing from those our opinions has changed in 15 years. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And that is a structural problem with the movie.
Yeah, what I would put it down to once again is just pacing and tension and suspense. Your narrative needs to keep you immersed, and once it slows down to a fucking snail's pace, once the audience is out even once or twice, let alone 4 or 5 times, it doesn't matter if there's an exciting sequence. Doesn't matter if Daenerys destroys Dragon's Landing. I don't care. I don't care that Tyrion... I don't even know what happened to Tyrion. I don't care. Jaime and Cersei got crushed by rocks. I didn't care. I was already out. The car chase is amazing. It's beautiful. The stunts. I was already out.
Yeah.
I was gone. I was thinking about other stuff.
It's weird. It's interesting how something that's so energetic can be perceived as a part of the viewing experience as slow. Right? So watching an extended fight scene where there's just been constant fight scenes over and over and over and over and over and over again becomes slow as part of viewing rather than it loses all of its energy, and that's really I find that interesting, right?
Just keeping people emotionally invested. So in conclusion, The Matrix Reloaded. A disappointing sequel to one of the greatest sci-fi films ever made. One of the greatest films.
One of the greatest
ever
films.
made.
After watching the first one again, after ages and ages, sort of like really looking at it
and go, wow.
We fucking, you know, Jesus.
Yeah.
What is this?
Incredible.
Yeah. You know, even just to come away with it with a sense that I really sort of underestimated this film in my memories of films that influence me and what I like and
body horror and cyberpunk and sci-fi and dystopia and then kung fu. It's like instead of George Lucas spending like a decade making the original trilogy, which was incredible, then having like 15 years off and coming back and shitting his pants. It's like making one of the greatest movies of all time and 3 years later shitting your pants. The cycle just happened so much quicker.
And then
they just lost their step. And then something happened, right? They made that first movie, and then they made this 3 years later.
They didn't know it was a flash in the pan. It's lightning in a bottle.
And they haven't done anything good since, right?
But
they never managed to recapture the magic.
That's what it is, and that's my explanation.
It was a fluke.
It was a fluke. That is the only explanation.
That's the sad reality of the Wachowskis.
Right?
They made a brilliant movie, but it was a fluke.
And the only reason that we're going to go and see the fourth one, right, is because of the legacy of shitty sequels.
Morbid curiosity.
Morbid curiosity.
How bad can it possibly be?
You know, the irony, of course, is that we're going to pay money to see it, and that's going to contribute to the box office potentially overtaking Dune, right, and diminishing the potential for a Dune sequel.
I just want to go to the cinema and watch a movie that I want to watch. It's like there's a new Sopranos movie coming out, the new James Bond movie's coming out, and they're all coming out like a month after they're released in America.
Yeah, it's weird.
So
it's a strategic play to try and maximize box office, but that's not how it's going to work, right? People just
because the internet exists.
Yeah, it's. They're kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place, right? Because if they
release it now, Melbourne and Sydney are locked down.
Then no one's going to go see it.
And if they're releasing it in a month, everyone's already seen it on fucking their VPN, HBO Max, so no one's going to go see it. So no one's going to go see Dune in Australia. Because of fucking COVID!
We're going to go see it. We are going to go and see Dune in fucking the cinema.
We've already seen it 8 times.
Apparently it's amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Apparently
I know. It's like everything we've ever wanted out of a movie.
Apparently it is just fucking epic. Epic.
Just release it in Brisbane.
Just release it now.
Our little shitty corner of
You could go and download it right now, Alex. You can go and get it right now and watch it now.
Like 1080p, high quality.
Oh, it's on streaming services over there, isn't it? In Europe and Russia.
No, it's released on HBO Max, October 22.
Okay, so it isn't on any streaming service.
No, it was released in Europe in cinemas, and then the States in cinemas in October 22, and then us like a month after that, like December 2nd. It's... Fuck, they don't want us to watch the fucking
but they don't have a choice. That's the better of two options for them from a financial perspective.
I will still go and watch it at the cinema.
Oh yeah, I'm going to go watch it.
After I've seen it 6 times at home.
Well, we're going to end up sitting there and talking about whether or not we should just download the fucking thing and watch it. Right. Because that's what we want to do. We can't get HBO Max here, I'm pretty sure.
No, we can't. You need to get a VPN.
I thought about that and I was like, I can't be bothered doing that. That's not a thing.
I'll try to download it when it comes out.
But I'd like to go and see it. I
want to see it at the cinema for the first time.
Well, then we should just do that then.
You want to wait a month?
Yeah. I think so. It's not like we don't know what's going to happen.
Duke Leto dies.
No! Dumbledore fucking Malfoy kills Dumbledore. Or Snape kills Dumbledore. No! Yeah, so that's fine. We'll decide. We'll make a decision what we're gonna do.
Kill ourselves.
At the altar of fucking Denis Villeneuve.
Seconds before watching the film.
The only way to know a film is to kill yourself.
The prophecy that was never realized. The viewing of the most anticipated sci-fi film of 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023.
2020 never.
There is no movie.
There is no script.
There's no choice. Thank you for watching. Oh.